Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Want to welcome you all to our June webinar here. Of course, we're getting close to the end here, so we're sneaking this one in before the calendar turns. Today, we've got Dave Carter from Kansas State University, who's going to be talking to us about the intern program that they've got going down there that's helping to find compressed air energy savings throughout different industries in Kansas. Pretty awesome program with really cool results that he first shared with us at our Ultrasound World Conference last month. And when I first met Dave, you could just see the passion and enthusiasm he has for energy management, and no doubt that same excitement will carry through even on this webinar. So we're excited to have him share that same message that a lot of you obviously weren't able to see in person. So thanks to Dave for joining us today. Just a couple things to go over before we officially get started. Since we're talking compressed air, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention just two things real quick that we've got going that we're really excited about that are just still pretty new. Our compressed air survey online course. So what we did was we took our full day in-person class that folks used to have to travel and get approval and all that good stuff to attend, and put it into 6 online modules that you can take whenever, wherever, and learn everything you need to know about doing compressed air surveys with ultrasound. So we're pretty excited about that. You can learn more about that on our website. We've had quite a few folks go through it, and so far everybody really likes that kind of on-demand aspect of it. So if you have questions, just let us know. And then similar to that, another new program, we've got our leak survey app right now available only through Apple, but the Android version is, I'm told, coming very, very soon. But what this is going to do is give you the ability to do a compressed air leak survey right from your either your phone or an iPad. And Dave, I think, was just telling me that his interns are even using it and getting some use out of it already. So just a quick, cool way to be able to generate a report, attach pictures without having to go to too much effort. So again, more info on that on our website, and you can certainly ask us if you have any questions about that. Before I turn it over to Dave, just some housekeeping. I am recording this, so we will have it up on our website just a little while after today's session wraps up. So if you have to hop off or you got someone that you really wish had participated, they can check it out later. And you also can ask questions, and we encourage that. So you can see you've got the option to type questions in. I'll be keeping an eye on those and tossing those over to Dave as he's going through his presentation. And of course, at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A to wrap things up. So try and make this as interactive as we can. And, if we have any technical difficulties, just bear with us. We are all kind of working by the grace of internet connections staying on and all that good stuff in the heat of the summer here. So just bear with us. If we have issues, we'll try and get everything fixed as quick as we can. But without further ado, I am going to turn the screen over and let Dave take it away here.
Okay, thanks, Maureen. And just a confirmation that you can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So good afternoon, everyone. First, I certainly want to thank UE Systems for inviting me to do this webinar today, and also to inviting me to their ultrasound conference, world conference that I first did this presentation. But most of all, I want to thank UE Systems for the just invaluable assistance they have provided to my intern program since about 2006, I want to say. Maybe a few years after that, when we started our intern program, I would call UE Systems to come over and do part of the presentations for us during the intern training, and they never said no. It's just been phenomenal. And so thank you, UE Systems, for that. So I do want to talk about our intern program. I have been the coordinator for this program at Kansas State University since 2006, and I think I can unbiasedly say that this is an excellent program not just our program, but all the intern programs that they have throughout the United States that help industries kind of achieve sustainability while reducing their operating costs at the same time. And I know sometimes we come at things in different directions. When I presented at the ultrasound conference down in Florida, there were reliability engineers, and so they all came at it from a maintenance and reliability perspective. But you know what? When you and we come at things from a pollution prevention perspective. So our program is funded through the Environmental Protection Agency Pollution Prevention Grant. And so what we have to do is we have to achieve some type of pollution prevention through energy conservation, water conservation, reduction in emissions, things like that. And so if you achieve reliability at your facility and you prevent waste, you're actually entering my world of pollution prevention. So we all work together, and sometimes we're just touching different parts of the elephant. So one of the things that I just give you a little bit of background about the intern program. This is our 11th year, so we've been quite successful at keeping this thing going, even in spite of reduced funding mechanisms. So 2006 was our pilot year. We had 4 interns that year. This year we have 7 that are at different locations. And our highlight was, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago where we had 11 interns, and that's the reason for my gray hair. But this is a partnership. I alluded to the fact that this is accomplished with a grant through the Environmental Protection Agency, Region 7. And it's under the Pollution Prevention Grant, which comes under the Pollution Prevention Act of the 1970s. But we also partnership with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, the Kansas Corporation Commission, and Engineering Extension here at Kansas State University. But it's not just our program. We're supported by a number of organizations without which this program would not be as successful. So we have our utility partners that also come over and provide presentations for us during the intern training that we provide to them before we send them out to facilities. And they also actually support the interns while they're at their companies. One of the things that we always tell the interns is, look, if you have resources, use them. So they will call the utilities to get energy trends for the facility and to talk about power factors and to talk about other types of rebates and programs that the company may not even know that they are eligible for. So it works out pretty well. Of course, we have K-State faculty, and not only K-State faculty, but we do hire interns from any Kansas accredited college or university. So we have the University of Kansas. We have one intern participating this summer from our sister university down the road. We also have one from Wichita State University. So we have the diversity of those faculty that assist the intern. And then, of course, our industry and vendors. The industry partners are, of course, the ones that ask to have the interns and to, they provide support to the interns while the interns are there at the facility. But then also vendors like UE Systems, which has just been phenomenal. We have kind of been spreading the word about UE Systems and their ultrasonic leak detectors, and when the facilities at which the interns are located see the simplicity and the ease of identifying leaks with the ultrasonic leak detectors and, of course, saving money. We've had quite a few of the facilities that like that so much that they'll go out and buy their own ultrasonic leak detector, which kind of helps us because then that builds our capacity. So if we have, since we only have one leak detector, if we have 2 interns, one of which is at a facility that has already purchased their own, then that means that we can use our leak detector somewhere else, and we can increase the environmental outcomes that we achieve. So the purpose of our intern program is not necessarily to enhance the intern's experience, although it certainly does. It is also not to decrease operating costs for the facility, although it certainly does that as well. What we achieve, since it is through a pollution prevention grant for the Environmental Protection Agency, our mission is to actually reduce industrial emissions and wastes to benefit the Kansas and the national environment, and to achieve true source reduction, so either from emissions or energy consumption, water consumption, reduction in hazardous or solid waste. So that's what we look. But the program is designed to link top-level engineering and environmental sciences students with the businesses and industry, and we recognize that the businesses and industry, their focus may not be on benefiting the environment. They are interested in perhaps becoming more sustainable through these projects, but primarily, of course, they're looking to reduce costs, trim costs, and this program certainly helps them do that. What we want for the interns is, of course, a real-world industry experience. Our internship is not about managerial interns. We don't want to necessarily produce future managers for these businesses, so that makes our internship somewhat unique. We do not want them behind a desk or on a computer, just, working away on operating manuals or protocols. We want them in the facilities doing the things that you guys don't have time to do at your facilities. And if you're interested in water consumption and you have no idea how much water is being used at different processes within your facility, and you certainly don't have the time to go out there and do 100, 150 measurements of compressed air leaks or water leaks or counting light bulbs and fixtures at your facility, that's what my interns do. And so I like to say that what my intern program does is it provides you time in the way of an intern that can do this very time-consuming research, and you can go on your daily routine of actually managing your facilities. So we're looking for real-world impacts, and we actually call these, in my profession, we call them environmental outcomes. So we have environmental outputs, which is just activities that you can do to for your facility. So what we would call an environmental output is maybe conducting a webinar and having 100 registrants and 50 people actually attend. So those are all considered outputs. But if 25 of those webinar registrants actually went on to do a lighting retrofit or to do a compressed air leak and saved a combined 500,000 kilowatt hours of electricity, that is what we consider an outcome, and that is what our program is primarily designed to achieve. So we want to see some waste diverted, we want to see energy saved, and emissions reduced, and water conserved. The dollar saved is great. That is not an environmental outcome for us, but it is certainly the outcome that all of the facilities want. So that's we're pleased to put that into the mix as well. But this is one of the reasons that we focus on energy. This is a graph that's produced by Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. They've been doing these estimated energy flows for decades now. And so on the left side, you have all of the sources that we use for energy generation in the United States. And on the right side, we have two outputs for that. We have the energy services that we actually use, and then we have the energy that we actually reject through waste or heat or some other type of source. So you can see at the top in 2015, the U.S. produced approximately 97.5 quads, and a quad is quadrillion BTUs, so 97.5 quadrillion BTUs. But out of that energy that we created, we actually only used 38.4 quadrillion BTUs of that. So that's only 39% of the energy that we generated in the U.S. that we actually use. And of course, this is an estimate, so let's not get too hung up on the 38.4. Just realize that we reject more energy that we create than we actually use. So what we want to do is to help industries and residential and commercial and facilities to kind of increase the amount of energy that we actually use versus what we reject. Because this 61% of energy that we reject has an economic impact for the businesses that operate in the United States. Just imagine what we could do if that 59.1 quadrillion BTUs of energy that we waste, we actually put to productive use in the United States. So that's one of the big pictures that we look at. So let's take a look at how we do with our program. So this is year by year the environmental outcomes that we actually achieved through our program. So from 2006 to the summer of 2015, which is of course, the latest data set that we have available to us, we have identified savings of 280 million gallons of water for these facilities, and you can see our high point there was in 2010 or in 2008. At one facility, we saved 187 million gallons of water. They had some pretty wasteful practices going on at their facility, and of course, associated with the water, you have energy, you have heat, you have chemicals that are used for those, and we don't capture those in our costs. We just look at the gallons of water themselves. But you can see on in the middle of the graph there for the energy, we have identified savings of 69,422 megawatt hours of energy. And our implementation rate is above 75% for these projects. So we're doing really well. And you can see the next to bottom line there that what the companies are most interested in, $11 million in operating or disposal costs savings. And we had one of our sister organizations from Nebraska do a study. This was the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, who also has a pollution prevention intern program. And they did a study that for every dollar in direct savings, there's approximately another dollar in indirect savings. So we could theoretically report $22 million in savings, but we only go with the hard stuff. But we want to emphasize that there are additional savings besides what we actually identify through the direct savings. So this is what we achieved in the summer of 2015 with our interns. 2.8 million kilowatt hours of electricity, 26,000 or 2,600 therms of natural gas, and again another high point with 10.1 million gallons of water, and $398,000 in cost savings either on operating or disposal, and that's for a company investment of less than 10% of that, so less than 30,000. So we look at the intern project as a pretty good return on investment, and that's not to say that there are some facilities who participate in the program that don't get many savings at all. Sometimes it's a question as to whether the companies actually implement the recommendations, or sometimes the interns will say that there are some additional research that needs to be conducted to actually come up with more credible data. So these are the types of projects that we've had through 2015. That heading is somewhat misrepresentative. It looks like these are the types of projects we had in 2015, but I can assure you we did not do 249 projects in last summer with for interns. So from 2006, we've had approximately 249 projects, and you can see the bulk of those, 139, 55%, are strictly energy. Um, of the remaining ones, the water and the natural gas, of course, have energy implications. So when you look at the total of the energy-related projects, we're at pretty much at 80%. 199 of the 249 projects. This summer is no different. We have quite a few that are working on lighting retrofits, but of course, compressed air. And we'll get into some of those. So the types of projects for 2016, of the 6 facilities that have full-time interns at the facilities, we are doing compressed air audits and other compressed air projects at 4 of those. So this is completely amazing to me, and this is one of the reasons we train our interns so hard during the 1 week of training that I have for them before I turn them loose at the facilities. But I train the interns to ask why. One of the biggest things that we give to the facilities through our intern program is not only that time that I was talking about, but we give you a new set of eyes. The interns are looking for things and are seeing things that you no longer see at your facility because you've been there for so long. And you've just established your routine of doing your reports and going to your meetings, that you overlook things that are occurring at your facility that are using energy but not giving you any productive work out of it. This is one such example. This is from one of my facilities this summer. They have a blasting room. It's a steel manufacturer. They have a blasting room to clean their metal parts off that they run full time, but they only use 40% of the time. So the compressed air system is energized, but the problem was when even when I did the site visit there, we were like 50 feet away from this hose that they use for the blasting, and you could hear it. And I don't know. When they're walking through the facility, maybe they hear the sound of compressed air leaking through hoses and nozzles and think, okay, well, that means my compressor's on. And it does, but they're wasting an incredible amount of energy and therefore money through these hoses that they just no longer. When we pointed it out to them, they're like surprised, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well we hear it all the time. We just don't consider the implications of it." So my intern checked the compressed air tanks before he left for the weekend, and then checked them again first thing Monday morning, and the compressed air tanks were completely empty during the weekend, even though they were energized at the end of the week. So. During that weekend, the compressed air just leaked out of the system, and they had to completely refill it. So that's one of the things that the interns do provide is that second set of eyes and a new set of eyes, and questioning, why are you doing it this way? We tell them that, to ask that question 5 times so that they get to an actual answer. And generally that answer is, well, I don't really know. That's the way we've always been doing it. So, and we don't have the time to research a different way to do it. So that's what the interns bring to the table for these projects. Here's an example of these are just some of the host companies that we have participate in our program. You can probably recognize some names on this list: Frito-Lay, Philips Lighting, Via Christi. I'm looking at some of the larger hills, Pet Nutrition. Some of the Deffenbaugh. You might recognize some of those. These are not small companies. Some of them are huge. We have we have an intern in a facility that has 1.2 million square feet in their facility, and so obviously you have a lot of square footage that you have to manage, and there's certainly no way that you can achieve all the things that you want to. The ones that are highlighted in blue are and have the asterisk are the ones that have participated multiple years in our program. And so I always show this to emphasize that, if they didn't think they were getting something out of the program, they would not return again and again. And right now we have some facilities like Via Christi and CST Storage and another one, Frito-Lay was like 5 or 6 years, but Via Christi's I think participated 8 years now. And every year, the return on investment that they get from the intern far exceeds what they pay for it. And yes, I will talk about what our payment is later on. Most of the intern programs do require some sort of payment from the company. Part of that is because we have to provide, if it's a federal grant, we have to provide matching funds. And if one of the things that the federal grants like to see is that the facilities have some kind of skin in the game. So if you invite the company to participate free of charge, then the likelihood of that facility implementing particular projects kind of dwindles. But if they've paid money for the intern to come over, the implementation rate increases. So that's what we want to see, and that's what enables the environmental outcomes that we achieve. So that's one of the reasons we require them to pay. So what do they pay? Well, for the last few years in our program, the companies have been paying only, this is what we pay the intern, $17 an hour for next summer. This summer they're only getting $15 an hour. So hopefully none of my interns are watching and and recognize that the next year's interns are getting a pay increase. But $15 an hour for the interns that. And most of the time, we have one intern at a facility this summer who's already identified $140,000 worth of savings for the company, and they're paying, right around $6,000 for my intern this summer. So I think paying $6,000 to achieve $140,000 worth of savings is pretty darn good, and they're only halfway through their internship, so they're going to be working on some other projects as well. So what we do is we charge the companies the $17 an hour back for the intern. So the on-site supervisor at the company actually signs the intern's timesheet so that they can verify the number of hours that they're working, and then we just simply charge that back to the company. So about $8,145 for next summer is what the program cost will be for the company. And again, they're charged only for the hours that the interns actually work. So it's not a firm fixed price. But here are some of the impacts that we have at our facility, and I was putting these together for the conference, the UE Systems conference, and I think this is just huge. And I had forgotten about how much these interns have identified throughout the years. And this doesn't even include, I think the first year we didn't have any compressed air projects at all, because we really didn't know too much about it until we heard about it from another intern company, and about that time we contacted UE Systems and we purchased a leak detector. And since then, I mean, wow, you can see that we've been doing. So in the last 10 years, 625 leaks that have been identified by the interns, 9.2 million kilowatt hours of electricity identified through these leaks. And I will say that many of these leaks or many of these facilities, the interns did not do a full audit because some of these facilities are huge and it wasn't their primary project. So the company had them working on, say, a lighting retrofit, and then, maybe in the last week they said, hey, why don't you go around and take a look at some leaks also. So this could easily probably double if the interns would do a full leak audit at the facilities. But I can tell you just from the ones that are here, probably 5 of these facilities recognize the benefit of the air leak detection technology to the point where they each bought their own ultrasonic leak detector. So that's pretty phenomenal. But 9.2 million kilowatt hours of electricity, just in case I didn't emphasize that enough the first time. That is music to our ears. That is, and no pun intended with the leak detection, but that is what we like to see. Those types of environmental outcomes are just huge for us. And keep in mind, this is just our program here at K-State. There are literally, dozens of these intern programs throughout the United States that are doing the same things. And so multiply that by, a factor of 10, and just think of what that's doing to the US economy, to the financial stability of these companies that, sometimes are considering laying people off, and here we are identifying some pretty good money per year. Now, and that's one of the things I should emphasize, that $11 million that we identify, those are per year costs, but we only report them once. So even if we identified $140,000 per year in 2006, we only count that once, where we could count it each year since then. So that's amazing to me. Maybe some of you don't. But as big as that impact is, all those leaks and all those kilowatt hours we identified, this to me is the bigger impact. We have now trained more than 75 interns, and I have 7 this summer, so we're on to 82 interns that are now going to go to environmental engineering or engineering firms and start their own career, and they now see the simplicity and the importance of these leak audits. And they will spread that exponentially through their engineering firms and through their career, and just produce even more environmental outcomes. So that's huge for us. We think that's really great. And I have to tell you, you see down there at the bottom, normally we have pretty strict or pretty standard engineering interns. You can see obviously at the top there we've had more engineering interns than non-engineering. But you see down at the bottom we have an apparel and textiles, and that number is actually incorrect. We've had 2. I didn't update this to include one of the apparel and textiles engineers that we have this summer, who, by the way, has already identified 3 million gallons of water saving for the company at which he's located. But during the interview that we had with him this past spring, before we hired him for the project, we asked him, what attracted him to this program. And he said, well, initially I was kind of disappointed that you didn't have an apparel and textile facility, and we don't. We have all manufacturing facilities in one hospital. And he goes, but I was looking at the past projects that the interns have done, and, I see that there's a lot of compressed air leak detection. And he goes, we use compressed air in the apparel and textile industry, so if I learn about it at a manufacturing facility, I can still apply that to the apparel and textile industry. And he said the same for water. And then of course he's at a manufacturing facility. He's the one who identified 3 million gallons of savings for that company. And he goes, we use huge amounts of water in the apparel and textile industry. So I can apply what I learn at this manufacturing facility to my industry, my career industry. And so that type of technology transfer is just huge for us from an environmental outcome point of view, but also from a national industrial viability point of view. We're going to, through our program, we get to make industries more not only environmentally sustainable but financially sustainable. So that's a cool thing. And then the bottom bullet there, the last bullet, 40 companies that have participated in our program. They also now see the benefits of the compressed air leak audits, and they either continue to use our interns the next summer to do air leak audits for them, or they purchase their own leak audit, and my interns do an air leak audit protocol, modified, of course, from the one that UE Systems has on their website. So they're just a wonderful resource for us, UE Systems. And no, I'm not a paid spokesperson for UE Systems, but I will forever be one of the people who gives them a great testimonial. They've just done wondrous things for our program. So here are some other intern programs throughout the United States, and this probably is not a fully comprehensive list. I did try to update them. Some of the intern programs are a little bit hidden on their websites, but this www.epa.gov internships link will take you to a spreadsheet where these states have identified intern programs. So in EPA Region 7, which is Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, and Missouri, we each have intern programs within our region. And they're all very robust, particularly Iowa, who has upwards of sometimes 20 or 30 interns in a single summer. Which we just can't do. But you can go to these states and this EPA.gov, and or you can Google pollution prevention intern program New Hampshire and see what you come up with. Or you can certainly give me a call and I can help you search for an intern program within your specific state. And so that is basically all the information that I had. I will ask at this time if there are any questions from the group.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And I think a lot of great information, and like I said, very enthusiastic about this, which I think is probably what has led to the success of the program. You need someone who's passionate about this stuff, so we appreciate that. Okay, so let's power some of these out. I had someone ask what kind of training the interns are able to go through, knowing it's kind of a limited amount of time that you've got them. What are you guys able to provide them?
Excellent. So what we do a mixture of lecture but also hands-on training. So again, I really am not a spokesperson for UE Systems, but I can't tell you how much they bend over to help my intern program. So Jason Morgan came down from UE Systems this last internship training that we did, and we actually took them into the K-State power plant with the leak detector and the infrared camera, and we first we identified some leaks, and then we made sure that each one of them came around and listened to it, and also found leaks of their own. We also do an ultrasonic Easter egg hunt with them. We'll take the I call them the warbler, but I guess UE Systems calls them the tone generators. And we hide those throughout the building, and we make them use the leak detector to go out through the building and find them. So that's our ultrasonic Easter egg hunt. But we also give training in water conservation, solid and hazardous waste, what pollution prevention is, and what constitutes pollution prevention projects. We go over HVAC and compressor systems, lighting, motors, all types of information that we give them. But we do try and make it hands-on, and we do make them go through a facility here at K-State using the actual equipment.
Awesome. And yeah, I swear he's not, we haven't asked him to say these nice things, but maybe we should have. Okay, so let's see. We got a few more here. How many of the interns end up working at the companies that they were interning at?
Yeah. So we've had, I know we have 5 that have gone on to to be hired by their companies. Frito-Lay used to participate in our program. They were one of our 5 or 6 year companies, and I think every year they actually gave a hiring invitation to the intern. Only one of which accepted, I think, and that's the reason they actually pulled out. They have an intern program of their own that is designed to bring in their interns into the company, and that's just not what ours is designed to do. And many of our interns just didn't want to work for the company. But we've had 5 or 6 that have been hired by the companies at which they interned.
And then do you keep pretty well in touch with these folks and kind of know sort of some of the success stories of where these students have gone on to?
Well, honesty, no. No. We just get so overwhelmed with our day-to-day stuff that it's hard to keep in touch with the interns when they've moved on to different places. So
yeah, okay. All right. So someone's mentioning that they know obviously that you can use the ultrasound technology that we have for leak detection, but they're wondering, do you have the interns do anything like the electrical inspections that we have, any mechanical, or obviously it's kind of focused on the energy, but has that been discussed at all?
Yeah, given the inherent safety issues involved with doing the electrical audits, no, we typically do not have our interns do that.
Yeah.
I don't mind them going through the facility looking for compressed air, but no, I kind of to make them stay away from doing the hardcore electric.
Yeah.
Now we do have one intern at one of our facilities who's been doing some electric, but only under very close supervision from an electrical engineer.
Awesome. All right, let's see. Are you all, is it your responsibility, the university, or the company's responsibility to ensure the interns that are in the plant?
Okay, K-State ensures the interns, and I guess I should. That's an excellent question, which raises a lot of different issues. So we can do things a couple of ways, and we've done them both ways in our intern program. Sometimes the company wants to hire the intern outright, and we still provide the technical support and the site visits. And then sometimes we hire the intern, and we're just basically then a contractor to the facility and charge them back the hours. If we hire the intern, we provide the insurance. If they hire the intern, they provide the insurance.
Gotcha. All right, and let's see. So this person's asking, do you use special programs or software to calculate the savings, or have you created your own program in Excel or something like that? I know you did tell me about using the Leak app, so maybe you can kind of just talk about how they're actually generating the results.
Yeah, so all of our interns have always just used the UE Systems software that they have. it's already created, and uh, the interns are busy enough that it just doesn't make sense to recreate the wheel. So so for the compressed air leaks, we use the UE system software. This year, when the app came out, when Jeremy Bay first put it on LinkedIn, that's where I saw it, and I was pretty excited about it. So I downloaded it onto my phone. But unfortunately, I'm not at a facility, so I didn't really get to play around with it much. But I also sent it to each of my facilities and to all of the interns that were at those facilities. And I know at least two of them are using the app to when they do their audit at the facility. For lighting or for any of the other types of projects that they do, we generally create our own Excel spreadsheet for the calculations.
All right, great. Well, we had a couple other questions that came through that I think will be better to kind of toss to you. Specifically, one person asking if they could get in on having an intern at their facility, so they must be someone local.
Excellent. We love to hear that.
Yeah, so we'll get you guys hooked up offline, and so I think what I'll do is I'm going to take the screen back here.
Oh, and
yeah.
I just also want to point out one other thing. So what we try and do with the interns is to obviously work on pollution prevention projects, but like one of the things that KDHE does every year, they have pollution prevention recognition awards, and that's one of the first projects that I tell the facilities that if they want to apply for that award, to have the interns work on it. One, that helps them familiarize themselves with the projects that perhaps other interns have done, but certainly helps familiarize themselves with the facility itself and what processes occur within that facility. Plus, it hones their writing skills. So there's all kinds of win-win-win there, and it helps the facility. So I know other states have similar recognition programs, so if that's something that interests you, certainly kind of put that on the intern's to-do list, and yeah, get recognition for what you're doing.
Awesome. All right. Well, I've got just a couple closing slides here, but obviously you generated some good conversation, so we appreciate that very much. And like I said, for those of you that had some more kind of specific questions, I will definitely hook you up with Dave, and also get for those that had more kind of UE systems questions, we'll certainly get those answered. So just kind of in closing here, our website, uesystems.com, that's where the recording of today's presentation will be. Lots of additional information there on obviously leak detection and energy conservation, as well as the other applications that a few of you kind of mentioned there in your questions with the electrical inspections and mechanical and lubrication, things like that. So if you've got an interest in those areas, certainly check out the website. We feel like we've got quite a bit of information there. So if something's missing, just let us know and we'll hook you up. Want to make sure you know how to stay connected with us. Dave just mentioned our LinkedIn, seeing the Leak app announcement there. We do have a group on LinkedIn. That's our UltraProbe users group. You're more than welcome to join that. It's always good conversations happening there, so a great place to take some of the questions and conversation from today and get some peer-to-peer interaction through that group. So check that out. You can also follow us on Twitter. And then just some save the dates. Our next complimentary webinar is going to be on July 21st, and we've got Jack Miller and Larry Hoeing from Wells Dairy. That's the Blue Bunny ice cream folks, and they're going to be talking about basically a case study of how they've implemented reliability and the impact it's had at their facility and how it's helped them get a lot of ice cream out the door and into all of our freezers, which is perfect this time of year. So hopefully you guys can join us for that, and we'll obviously have invites out. Yeah, Dave.
and Marina, I just want to emphasize that Wells Dairy actually has an intern from the Iowa Pollution Prevention Program working there this summer.
Perfect. It just all ties together so nicely. I love it. And then it's never too early to put these dates on your calendar. Our conferences for next year, May 9th through the 12th in beautiful Clearwater Beach, Florida. Dave can attest to how beautiful it is, but also how hopefully how great the content and the networking opportunities are at the conference. So we hope you can at least make a note to try and get that approval to join us next year. Um, and with that, I'll leave our contact info up and let you all go off and enjoy the rest of your day. I hope everybody has a great 4th of July holiday for those of you here in the States. And Dave, again, thank you very much. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody back here next month.
Thank you.